Good morning, good evening, and everything in between. My name is Sam. I'm a graphic designer, and welcome to my little tutorial series. I've wanted to do this for a long time, and I figure now that we're in a pandemic, what better time than right now? So, I'm going to show you throughout these series of tutorials how to do everything from prepping a document to working in Illustrator, creating a logo, setting a project up for print and print production. I'll teach you some Photoshop stuff too, and whatever else you would want to know. But for now, I'm going to stick with Illustrator. This is the designer's tool of the gods. This is exactly what you're going to be using for, I would say, a vast majority of your work, because we deal with vector and not pixels in Illustrator. And vector can scale to anything without losing quality. It's smooth, it's crisp, and that's exactly why we use it. So, as you can see, when you open up Illustrator, this is what, well, at least Creative Cloud 2020 looks like. And it's pretty boring, not much going on here. But you'll notice this section here. Adobe includes some basic tutorials themselves, but we're not going to go through that. Over here, you would normally see your recent files that you've worked on. I like to clear the history, though. I just don't like junk or clutter. But normally, like if you were working on a logo and then a business card and then a flyer, you would see all of that here. So you'll notice these presets, but I'm going to get into that in a second. So if you go over here to create new, just click on that, and then you'll see this nice little pop-up. So this is going to be how we set up a new document. I know, really exciting stuff, but this is often very overlooked. And if you get this right, it's just that much easier and less work that you have to do later. So you'll see here recent items, and these are just some file sizes I work on either for professional client work or just to mess around in Illustrator. So I usually go with 2000 by 2000 pixels, but we'll get to that in a minute. So saved would be if you had any saved templates, and you could even go down here and you could actually search on Adobe Stock. Adobe Stock is a great service if you're willing to shell out more money that they already don't have from you. So, but if we go up here, we'll see a bunch of different options, which is really cool and often overlooked. So, like, let's say you're working on a wireframe mock-up for an iPhone app. You could say, well, I'm going to target audiences with an iPhone 8. There you go. Just click on that, and it sets the document settings up automatically. Also, if you wanted to set something up for web, you could do that here. And Adobe is kind enough to include all these templates too, which is really nice. I mean, it's not like a vast wealth, but it's enough to get you started. Print, same thing. We have letter A4 legal tabloid, film and video. Let's say you got to do a YouTube thumbnail. You could click your resolution sizes here. Wow, 8K, that's scary. Art and illustration, I don't really tend to use these. I mean, you totally can. Some of these preset ones are pretty cool. And if you view all presets, you can see even more sizes. But for now, we're going to just work on a blank canvas, because this is just a tutorial. I'm not showing you how to do a business card or a flyer. We're just going to mess around. So if we go over here, we'll see a bunch of nice settings that we can work with. So under preset details, the first thing you notice is it says untitled. Well, I don't think I have to explain this, but I will. So this is just going to be the name of your document. So what you would do here is, well, you could leave it untitled, but then you would have to rename it later. So why do that? Just save yourself the trouble now. So let's just call it tutorial. Bang. Done. So this is the width and height section, and these are going to be the dimensions of your document. I work in 2000 by 2000 pixels if I don't know what I'm going to be working on. Let's just say I want to come up with a logo design. This provides a nice big space to work on my canvas, and I don't have to worry about anything falling out of the edges. Over here are the units of measurement. It automatically sets to pixels, which is great for web use. But then you have points, picas, inches, yards. But pixels and inches are going to be 99% of what you end up using. Points and picas are also used in design, but it's just easier for me to use pixels and inches. So pixels is good for web-based, inches is good for print-based. So we have orientation here, which you could switch from portrait to landscape and vice versa, although you cannot do that right now because we're at a perfectly symmetrical artboard. But let's say we wanted this at 3000 by 2000, it automatically sets the orientation to landscape. But if we wanted to just switch it to portrait, bang, that's all you do. Simple. Artboards, this is the actual working canvas that you're going to be working with. Redundancy. I work in one artboard at a time. I find it a lot less confusing that way. If you're working on a storyboard project or if you're working on a logo design and you want to show the whole process, you can add 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, as many artboards as you want. But I personally work with one artboard at a time. Bleed is for print and print production. So if you're working on like a social media graphic, don't even worry about the bleed. But let's say your printer needs the bleed on a business card at 0.25 pixels. So you could go ahead and it'll automatically set the bleed for you in your document. So if we go to advanced options, we have color mode, CMYK and RGB. RGB would be used for anything web-based because it has the widest spectrum of color. CMYK is for print because it's a different color processing and it cannot get every color that's available in the RGB spectrum. Very important, very, very important when you're working on anything print. Absolutely make sure it's in CMYK. If you're working on anything web-based, RGB. Simple. Then we go down to raster effects. This is basically just the resolution of the document. And so 300 ppi is the highest quality that Illustrator will allow. So if you wanted to work on something that you're including a lot of effects with, or if you have a slow computer, reducing it to 72 ppi, I would recommend. But make sure if you do that, and you're working on a print file, you export it to anything 150 or higher, because that's going to retain its high quality. Preview mode, I don't really mess with, but we have, well, let's zoom out a little. We have default, pixel, and overprint. I stick with default. If you click here, more settings, it's basically the same thing, except just laid out in this fashion. Also, if you wanted to work off of a template, let's say you found like a cool flyer template, you would be able to find them in your documents, or they have like preloaded ones too. So you have banners, boxes, brochure, business card, and this can save you time. So I'd encourage you to use those sometimes. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and hit create document. And that's it. That's all it is. You did it. You created your document. I know this was a very exhilarating episode, but doing something that simple can save you a lot of time and stress in the long run. Because if you don't format your document properly, you can accidentally send it to a printer or a client, and they'll be like, well, dude, what the hell is going on? So just taking 2 seconds to do it this way is a lot easier. But I hope you enjoyed the first lesson here. Next lesson, I'll be going over some of the tools, and then anything after that, I will basically just stream of conscious that shit. So thank you for joining my little tutorial series. I look forward to doing a lot more.